Part dos. Numero segundo.
Okay.
I don't think that's right either.
So we start off
Part two. Part two is called like Gods and something.
Gods and Gates. Okay, so Dorian has I guess practiced his shifting skills enough that he's decided that he's ready to go to Morath and do some go get the word key, go get the third word
Because he knows it's there.
He has two. Of course, prior to this, him and Manon have a moment. She basically like is worried about him.
Mm-hmm.
She's coming into her feels, and she's like, "Please don't leave." He leaves anyways.
Yeah, because that's
and
what
then
he
she's
does.
like
That's
upset.
what emo boys do.
She's upset because she's like, "Well, I thought I convinced him to stay." Anyways, but he has like this is important.
This is his thing. Yeah.
This is bigger than them as a couple. So
right.
he goes.
And are they
to
really a
Morath.
couple yet? Like not officially, but they are.
It's
anyway.
like one of those unofficial official things.
It's complicated.
They're definitely a couple, but like it's also like one of those types of things where it's like they won't admit that they're together, but they're together.
Yeah. So Dorian arrives in Morath.
Yeah. So
because he flies as a raven to get there,
and then he kind of sneaks in.
He sneaks in, and he's a mouse. And in my mind, he was Gus from Cinderella, just a fat little plump mouse, just happy to be there. But he wasn't. But in my mind, I pictured Gus just running around. You did. What kind of rat did you picture?
A normal rat.
I pictured Gus.
I didn't picture like a Cinderella
cartoon. I pictured Gus because he's a cute little mouse. Okay.
Okay, so Dorian is in Morath
as a mouse.
After Adian, Lysandra, and everybody were rescued by the Mycenaeans, they've arrived in Orinth. And then
wait, go back to so Dorian. My favorite like little like random tidbit in the book was when Dorian's the mouse and he's climbing the stairs and he's like, this is brutal, like because it's so hard for him to climb up the stairs because he's got little legs. I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, that's stupid. That's all I could think about was like, so stupid because he's trying to stay in the shadows and then he's like, the tower's so big. He's like, even on human legs this is hard to do. He's like, and here he is just like, and I was just like, that's hilarious. Anyways, because he had like stop for breaks on the way up the tower. I was like, dude, really?
It's a lot.
I thought it was hilarious. Okay. I was like, man, point of view from a mouse. Got it.
Okay. So, and then Aelin and the Southern Continent people are making their way over the Farron Gap.
So everybody's trying to get to Orinth.
Orinth is like
where everybody's going to meet up and we're going to have one big happy, how do you do?
So when Dorian arrives in Morath and finds Erewhon, he also gets a surprise because lo and behold, who's there?
That bitch.
Maeve.
Maeve is there.
So at the end of part one, we find out that Aelin has kind of let the cat out of the bag and has told everybody that
she's a vlog.
That she's vlogged. So she's basically been ousted because the Fae are like,
the hell? Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's basically at Erewhon's door asking for help and shelter, and she says, we'll unite, and then
it'll be done.
Yeah.
And so he's still mouse form. He sneaks into the meeting room, right, where they're talking.
I thought he was like as a bug. Is it a mouse still?
I think he is a bug.
Okay.
Because he shifts from like a mosquito to like a mosquito fly thing to the mouse, and then he's the raven when he's trying to get away.
Yeah.
So, but I want to say he's the mouse because she stepped on his tail. Remember?
Oh, does he?
That's
whenever he followed her to the room.
When she's done talking. So maybe he's a fly when he's in there. Either way, she figures out that he's there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And
Dorian got caught.
Dorian got caught because she stepped on his tail and he's starting to freak out.
Yeah.
And she ends up wanting to team up with him, right?
Yeah.
And Dorian teams up with her. And that's when I was like, bro, you can't be this. That's when I texted you. I was like, he can't be that stupid. And he was that stupid. So you think.
Yeah. So they basically
work with each other
against Aelin.
Yeah.
So I think Dorian offers her to be his bride and queen.
Yeah, they were going to get married because she knows that he has the other two ward keys and he has hidden them. Because remember, he hid them out in the before he got there because he didn't want to take them into Morath because that would just be a shit show.
Yeah.
Also very smart.
Also very smart.
So, but she knows that there's a key there, so they're both working together to find the key, because they both have their own reasons for wanting it. But Dorian is like, yeah, I'll make you my bride. We can go against Aelin because she's, he's pretty much trash talking her, like, because he's doing what he has. He's telling her what he needs to
gain Maeve's
to gain
trust,
her trust, and she's like prodding into his mind too at this time, isn't she? So you're just like, oh no, but yeah, because it's back and forth between them being in Orinth and Maeve and Dorian at Morath. So what part do you want to talk about?
But who else is there?
And where?
Morath.
I don't know.
Vernon.
Vernon? Who's Vernon?
Vernon is Eldie's uncle.
Oh, Eldie's uncle. Yeah. So many people. Yes, the uncle was there.
But he's actually been kind of demoted.
Yeah, because he's kind of no longer needed because the everyone's pissed off because he let a lead go.
Yeah.
So, because if you remember Lorcan, Elide, all that whole situation.
She was supposed to be used as a log princess. They were having a hard time bringing the princesses over for whatever reason. So
they figured with her bloodline, she should be able to hold. Yeah.
And that's what Maeve uses as a bargaining chip.
The spiders.
To get Erwin's. Yeah.
She's going to bring, through the portal, she's going to bring some of the spiders that are now human, the human spider shifter people.
Yeah, the spiders are going to basically get collars on them so
they can shift into the princesses, right? Yeah, so Vernon's there, and Vernon's pretty much ousted.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, because Dorian shifts into Vernon.
Well, Vernon's basically been kicked to the curb, and as he's leaving is when
Dorian shifts into his form and starts kind of probing questions from Erewhon, and then that actually gets Vernon kicked out of Morath. Eventually, that's kind of like one of the reasons why, right?
No, Vernon was already leaving.
Oh, and then he asked too many questions.
And then Dorian was like, "I'm gonna
ask a bunch of questions."
Yeah, he needed answers.
Yeah, and then that's when he realized that his dad was never fully controlled, wasn't easily controlled. So Dorian kind of has a moment thinking about his dad. So then he's Vernon for a little while.
Well, so he gets
information out of everyone as Vernon,
and then he goes back to Maeve and he's like,
she calls him stupid for doing that because she knows he did it. Which I don't understand why everyone hasn't sensed that Dorian's there, because Maeve picked up on him really quick. I think they explained it, but it still didn't make sense to me why everyone hasn't realized like that's not Vernon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood how, because Maeve was able to sniff him out. Yeah, why wasn't everyone able to sniff him out? Because it wasn't like he wasn't around Dorian a lot. He was around Dorian. He should know what he smells like.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's explained, but I don't remember. And I remember thinking that doesn't make sense. But anyways, nonetheless, Dorian's there. And then Dorian goes back to...
So as a part of like trying to get Maeve's alliance, or at least have her believe that he's on her side, he like goes into the room where all the collars are at. And like as a gnat, and then he has like a moment, so Maeve actually has to come and
because he has another panic attack, which I mean is traumatizing. So he finds it's under the towers. He finds like this room.
This is on a search for the keys.
Yeah, he finds all these collars, like just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and he freaks out.
After Dorian has done like a pretty thorough search of Morath, he still can't find the key, and he kind of like
he knows it's moving.
He's come to the conclusion that it's in Erwin's
tower
bedroom, that has no windows, has no cracks, he can't get into it. So that's whenever he goes to Maeve and asks whether or not she can seduce him. Yeah,
and that way he can sneak in as a bug. Like he sneaks in, doesn't he? How does he sneak in there? It's later on that he sneaks in there.
Yeah.
Right? I can't remember. Yeah. Because she tries to seduce him and he's like, no, I don't want to do that with you. Erewhon, right? He doesn't want to have relations with her because that's his sister-in-law, right?
It's a sister-in-law.
And he's like, I don't want to do that.
Even though like you don't consider yourself married, I do.
Yeah, so go back and I'll send somebody for you.
And he does.
And she's like, turns him away. And then she decides she's going to trick him into seeing his brothers in the portal. And remember,
that's how he gets him out.
Gets him out, and she portals Dorian into the room. Yes. That's how she does it.
That's how they
do it. I don't remember.
And then he uses Maeve to get into the room, and we also find out that he has like
another Kaltain in there.
Yeah.
With the ward key in her arm. And that's when he realizes that's why he couldn't pinpoint where it was, because it was constantly moving. Mm-hmm. So he cuts it out of her. And then Maeve shows up. And because the girl's like, kill me, and he doesn't have it in him to kill her. Mm-hmm. But Maeve does it for him. Mm-hmm. And he has the key. Mm-hmm. And so she's now trying. This is when we have the big reveal. Mm-hmm. And then go ahead. What happens? What happens? What happens? What happens? I feel like I'm talking too much. Your turn.
No, it's your turn.
So then, okay, go ahead. Then I don't want to. I'm tired. No, I'm kidding. So then, they kill the girl. Done. And then she's trying to manipulate his brain, right?
Yeah.
But she can't, because he's been that's part of it. He was shifting his brain to where she thought the brain that she was messing with was his, but it was really just like this fake one he made up, I guess.
Yep.
And so he was like, haha, switcheroo.
Yeah.
And
she was basically in the wrong mind.
Part of his brain or whatever. And so he was kind of putting up this facade. And then he ends up like taking her out, almost not taking her out, but he like
he ends up basically
so he going into her mind,
like hitting a Uno reverse and being like, I got you.
Yeah, so he Uno reversed into her mind. Mm-hmm. And then takes off.
Yeah, but
he blows everything up.
Yes, but we find out like the whole time that he was like sneaking around, whatever, he was actually like putting his magic in all these different places. So he ends up like leveling the entire area,
including the collars.
And then he escapes as a wyvern.
Yeah, and he just takes off. And then he goes and gets the other keys.
Collects the other keys.
So now he has all three in his pocket.
And Dorian is a badass.
And then he takes off. But what my question is, he puts the keys in his pocket. Turns into a wyvern. Where did the keys go? Because if it's like Lysandra and he shifts and now he's naked, where's the pocket? Where did it go?
Plot
hole. If I put him in my pocket, and where's the sword? When he turns into a wyvern, where's the sword? It's just like fucking wyvern carrying like stuff like this. Like, where does he put it? Where does the sword go? Where do the ward keys go? Are they in his mouth?
It's a pocket.
Does he have to do like a jailbird thing and stick it in his like
pocket that has no air and just?
So it's built into his skin. I'm saying like, where's he has the sword, like he has the ward keys.
Bunch of use.
And now like when he turns into a like when he flew there as a raven, where was the sword and the keys until he buried them? Where were they?
Like he has a pocket in between worlds and he puts all of his stuff in there.
Plot hole.
Except for pants.
Plot hole.
Nobody puts pants in the pocket world.
Yeah, I could put my knives and my ward keys, but not a pair of underwear.
That's the thing. Dorian's never really naked. Like whenever he shows up and he switches from like a wyvern back to his,
he's
like,
in normal clothes.
He's
only Lysandra's naked.
It's sexist. It's definitely sexist.
Okay, so then he goes. He gets all the stuff, and then pause.
That's before.
Pause. He has all the things. He is successful. Blew the shit up. Pause.
He's super awesome.
Yes, that's when we're like Team Dorian. Ha ha ha.
And I was Team Dorian the entire time.
I was a normal read because you already knew what was going to happen.
No, even the first time I read it, I was like Team Dorian.
No, I was Team Dorian, and then I was like, ugh.
I love Team.
Then I left that team, and then I was back on the team. I am a bandwagon fan of Dorian, but I was always Team Anon, so it's okay.
Okay, so Aelin
and them are
the Southern Continent people. Nezrin, Sartak,
all them.
Kale,
Silent Assassins,
Fenris,
Hansel, Fenris.
Everybody
but Dorian and Manon are going to Orinth, and they get to Orinth, right? Yes.
Dorian and Manon are going to Orinth,
but they're not there yet. Everybody else gets there before them.
Everybody else is in the Fair Gap,
going to Orinth. Right.
Yes.
Okay, so there they go. Well, they get there, and then this is where I'm like, okay, this is waste time. Okay, we're in the Fair Gap. Now what?
They spent a lot of
time in the Fair Gap. Like, the Fair Gap. They're there for like 3 years.
Yeah, the whole time that Dorian was in Moranth, I just like, it makes your anxiety kick up. Because it's just like, oh, come on, get out of there.
Oh, and yeah, Irene, while they're getting in the Fair Gap, Irene says she could fix Elid's foot.
Oh yeah, they'll have to break it. It's
They'll
gonna
have to
take a
re-break it,
while.
and I'm just like, girl, do it. Like,
Well, no, like basically, I guess it comes down to we can do this now, or we can do this in 5 years whenever you can't walk anymore.
and I'm like, just do it now.
So I guess we have a
Yeah.
path forward.
Oh, Vernon. We had to show Vernon shows up in the Fair and Gap.
Right.
Vernon.
Okay.
So no, Sardak and Nezrin find him.
Yes.
Sardak.
Sartak
with a T. Kif cares. They and Nezrin
well,
while they're doing
Sartak with a Q, but
whatever. Okay. Anyways,
Sartak.
they're doing like they go on their rooks. I guess what every so often to do like scouting, and they find Vernon.
So Vernon has left Morath, and he's in the Fair and Gap where the Wyverns were at, and that was one of the other things they were like, "Where are the witches? Like, nobody's here." But yeah, they come into contact with Vernon. They come down and get a lead, and they're like,
"What do you want us to do with them?
What do you want to do with this dude?" And she's just like,
"I don't know." She's like, she want to talk to him. Well, she doesn't want him. She didn't want him to like almost like it made it sound like she didn't want him to suffer. She was like, "Make it quick, whatever it is." And I was like, "No, bitch! Like we gonna torture him."
They executive decision that.
Yeah. So then they go. Well, they go in. They let a lead. The lead wants to talk to him first, and she does. And I was just like, "Okay, talk to him." Then she leaves, and Aelin walks in because now they're gonna interrogate and do what they want to do to him. And I just love. She made. She gives him drink. Ale, and then she's like, I drink it, so I'm not poisoning you. And then she's like, I promise. What is she like? She made a promise that nobody in her court would kill him, right? And so they end up locking him in the tower.
The way can basically die of starvation, or
which is the same, which is what he did to Elite. He locked her in the tower. Gave me very much Cersei vibes when she locked the mom and the daughter, the snakes, the
Sand Sisters.
Yeah, she locked them in the tower and made them rot and die in the tower. Remember after the ones that killed her daughter? Yes.
Okay, so
not the same, but it's the same.
No, but what she did was she
poisoned one
the daughter.
Yeah.
So that the mom would have to watch her daughter die
and then rot in there and die too. All I know is it reminded me of Cersei being a badass. Cersei was badass sometimes, just killing people. She killed them.
That's fucking psycho.
I love her.
So, but one of the things that they get out of Vernon before they decide to lock him up and basically let him starve to death or die of dehydration, we find out that the forces that are marching on Orne currently are about 100,000. So it is pretty dire.
It's like,
so
entirely too much. And then doesn't he tell the one that Maeve is in Morath? Does he tell them that? Or is it not till Dorian gets there?
Dorian told him.
I couldn't remember who told him. Okay, yeah. So, but he's the one that tells them it's not like 10,000 or 20. It's 100.
So when they're marching through the Fair and Gap, that's the other thing. We go back to like fast travel, slow travel. They spent 17 weeks
in the Fair and
Gap doing
nothing.
There's a couple, I guess, plot devices, like so finding out how big the forces are. Aelin gets her tattoo redone.
You have time to tattoo this girl.
Aelin gets her tattoo redone. Lork and a lead makeup. This is
the part what makes me mad.
Yeah.
So with this whole, I end up telling you this. I was like, we get all these chapters in Empire Storms of Tower of Dawn with Kale and Irene bumbling and fumbling through a sex scene. Rowan and Aelin bumbling and fumbling through a sex scene. We even get Manon and Dorian bumbling through a sex scene. Here we are with the lead, the virgin, and Lorcan. And all we get was, and so Lorcan did. What did he do? Like, it was a fade to black.
Let's remember
that it's a YA book. She could. No. I don't need him. I need something. Something. Did he mark her? Because remember, that's what the fairies people do. Did he? We need to know. She's like 7 feet. He's 7 feet tall. She's 5'2". Did she know what she was doing? What happened? I need to know.
He knew what.
He showed her things. What did he show her?
So I feel like this is one of those like canon events. If you're reading Sarah J. Maas for the first time, this is one of those things that you have to experience and you have to go through it, because it's like everybody had the same thought, because they were like, "What? This is it? Like we've been waiting for 2 years after that kiss in the stone marshes, and nothing,
not a damn thing,
nothing." Yeah, it was
not even like a couple sentences, a paragraph. Yeah. No.
Sorry.
Very upset.
I'm very sorry.
Upset.
Okay, so
what did he do?
Okay, so
what did he do?
The main thing, I guess, that we take away from Aelin being in the Farron Gap up to this point
that you can get tattoos and not know what Lorcan did. That's what we learned in the Farron Gap.
And
there's a bunch of soldiers. Okay, that's all we learned.
Okay, so Adian and Lysandra.
Damn, these two again.
Are in Ornth.
Not doing it.
She's still keeping him at arm's length because of everything that happened, but at
least they're speaking, I guess you could say.
They're with Rolf. They're getting ready for a siege. So they're putting up their battlements and seeing how long they could withstand a siege, and they're preparing for battle because they know that the Erewhon's forces are coming. And then as they're about to start the battle, they see the Iron Teeth come in, and everybody's like
freaking out.
Resolve kind of crumbles because they realize that under no circumstances during a siege can they withstand the Iron Teeth, which is Wyverns, because Rifthold fell within a couple hours
with them.
Yeah, so they're kind of panicking, and they're basically like
freaking out.
We're gonna die. So they're talking about like, okay, well, we need to start evacuating the city. Like, are the tunnels like open? Blah blah blah. And that's when 5,000 Kraken witches show up. So everybody's just like, holy shit.
Yeah, because of course Aiden and them are like, again.
So Manon and the 13 show up, the Kraken witches show up, and it's just this huge, like, we finally have a win, because they've been spending so long, like, just chasing
So they start fighting, and they end up breaking 2 of the towers, right? Is this when they break the 2 towers?
Okay, so the Kraken show up
to fight the Iron Teeth.
So they have a snowball's chance in hell of actually not dying the same day that this battle starts.
Right.
So Lysandra is out in the field, and she's doing what she can do to she's drowning people.
Because she's a sea dragon. She's shifting, doing different things.
Yeah. And then Adian decides to take it upon himself to battle a Vlog Prince, and ends up getting
stabbed.
Mortally wounded.
Yeah, horribly wounded.
And then he has to be kind of taken out of commission, and then they see that they're getting ready to use one of the towers. So this is one of the things that we saw where they were using the young witches, they were doing the yielding to basically blow holes and stuff. So they know how they have to take this tower out, otherwise
they're going to take out all of their forces.
Yes.
So then they do that, but at this time Abraxos is hurt.
No. Yeah. So
before they see the tower go up, Abraxas is hurt. Manon gets him.
Okay. Back up though. So Manon and Iskra Yellowlegs finally have it out. Basically, during the battle, Manon gets attacked by Iskra and her Wyvern, and the Wyvern actually
chomps down on Abraxas
and is not letting go. Manon's doing everything that she can
to get him to let go,
to get him to release.
And he won't let him go.
Abraxas, but Petra, Blue Blood, kind of comes to the rescue,
right,
and helps
them out.
Oh my god,
you're so dumb. Okay, so Petra helps.
No, but Petra helps because she was doing it for Keely.
Yeah, and then Petra dies.
I need a moment.
You're such a dork. But Keely is
Petra doesn't die.
But Keely is her Wyvern, right? And then that's Abraxas' girlfriend, which I didn't realize that was his girlfriend until this part.
No.
Right?
No,
which was Abraxas' girlfriend?
No, stop talking. You're fucking this up.
Because you're crying.
Okay, back to what I was saying. So Petra comes in to help Manon, because it's actually she's not in a position that she can actually like save Abraxas. Abraxas is in like such a tight hold by Iskra's Wyvern that when Petra flies in, she actually ends up Abraxas is able to get released because he's basically at this point he's trying to fall in such a way that Manon can survive. So like
he can, yeah.
So when Petra shows up, she takes on Iskra, and they end up getting into a dive that's so steep that Manon, after she lands and Abraxas is horribly wounded, she's pretty sure that like
Petra's, okay, now I'm back
Petra's trying to like do like a suicide mission, but she's doing it for Keely because Iskra's Wyvern actually killed her first Wyvern.
Right. That's Keely. I'm thinking about that. Yeah. There we go.
So Abraxas's mate is actually Astron's Wyvern.
There you go. I knew his mate was somebody.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember who it was. So we never knew that until like the end.
No, that was in part 1.
I don't remember.
It was in part 1. Like, no, because they were like cuddling together and like they were talking, like Manon was talking about like being with Dorian and like happily ever afters and all that other nonsense. And she sees like Abraxas like kind of doting on her. And I think it's one of the Krakens that be like, oh, they're together.
Yeah.
And then Abraxas' thing was like, it took you long enough to figure it out.
Yeah, it took me long enough. I didn't figure it out. Okay.
Anyways, so Iskra Yellowlegs and her Wyvern end up going splat. At the very last second, Petra's Wyvern is able to pull out of the dive and flies off. So Iskra Yellowlegs is officially
dead.
Deceased.
Thank God.
But Abraxas
is horribly wounded.
Really badly wounded. Manon cannot fly him. So she's trying to get a broom, anything, because this is when they see the tower kind of coming
because she's
forward.
Sitting with him trying to get healers to come to save him. The 13 are there.
Yeah.
And she's like calling for the like trying to get a healer, get a broom, get another Wyvern, something, so she can go and stop this tower.
Yeah, because the tower is being guarded by a bunch of Yellowlegs
and their Wyverns
and Iron Teeth and their Wyverns,
and they've kind of formed like a line, almost. It seems, to where you can't break through the line to get to it. Yeah. And then things happen.
But at the top of this tower
is a witch, and she's going to yield, right? There's more than one. There's a bunch of them, isn't it? What? Oh, the grandma's there.
Yes,
that's where she's
matron,
at. I was like, I know.
Manon's grandmother is at the top of this tower.
Yeah.
So after Manon is like panicking, she's like, "Give me a broom, give me anything. Like,
give me one of your Wyverns,
and we'll clear the line so we can like stop this from happening. Because like if they don't take down this tower,
hundreds of thousands of people are gonna die. So then the 13. It's very traumatic. The 13 all hop on their Wyverns, and then they kind of take off. And you don't really not... Like, they take off, and they tell Manon, like, you just need to live, pretty much. That's how they say it. It's more traumatic. I'm trying not to be traumatic, because this is going to start crying. So then, they all... What's wrong with you? So then they all take off.
I can't talk about it.
And, okay, so they see... We'll stop where you stopped. Okay. So then the 13 are there with their Wyvern. And they're going to take off. We're going to assume they've kind of had this already planned, because that's the way it sounded. Like, they kind of had this thing like Manon needs to live at all costs kind of a deal had going on. Yeah. That's what I felt like happened. So
she's also like...
She's the one that's going to unite them all.
I feel like one of them said, before the Manon live, I think somebody said like, bring our people home. Yeah, bring our people home, which was to the wastelands. Yeah. So they all like take off, and Manon again, she cannot take off. There's no broom. She has to sit there and watch.
So she has to sit there as they take off, and I don't think she comprehends yet exactly what they're doing until it's there. And I remember, like, you have to remember, to me, out of the 13, there's only like 5 we really knew. Right? We knew Astron, the third in command, and the twins. And then you knew Manon. So, but there's obviously 13, and they've been together for this whole time. They're one big unit. They're like legends. So they fly in. I don't even think most of them made it through the front line. Well, so they were taking out Wyverns as they go. So they were taking out people as they go. They were basically trying to create a hole so Astron could cut through, and then she did her yielding thing. So by the end of it all 13 are gone. Yeah, so basically
what's really kind of, I guess, poetic about this, Astrid, who was marked by the grandmother as unclean, took out the grandmother, which is deserved.
Yeah,
like she
everything deserved. I mean, it was, and then, it was one of those like it sucked because I mean I cried through the whole thing too, especially afterwards and all the stuff they do for them. But it was just like having to, because it's told from Manon's point of view.
Yeah.
And she, by the time she realizes what she's doing, she's kind of like frozen because she can't undo it. There's no way for her to get to them, even if she could or wanted to. Well, she wanted to, but there's nothing she can do. And I remember I think one of these, like, you could hear the twins laughing as they're being taken out, and you're just like, so they end up all dying. All 13 are dead.
Yeah, so
which I predicted. If you go back to the Tower of Dawn,
no, you said that if all of them died, it would be too much.
It would be too much, and it was too much. So I win.
It was too much. No, so Astrid was the first to do the yielding, took out the grandmother, and then
they all started,
which took down the tower.
Which ended up taking down the tower.
And then they saved the day.
Saved the day.
And then I guess they stopped fighting for that day, but it was
they stopped fighting, and then I think didn't not Astrid, but Manon almost wasn't like, didn't come. Did she like faint or something? Because I remember it saying like she was underneath Abraxas' wing when she woke up, and then when she started walking around, she saw like all the people had laid out the flowers for the 13, and then she kind of just stood or sat in front of like their little altar, I guess they had made for 13. And is that when she finally, I don't even think she ever cried, or maybe that's when she finally cried. I was crying, so I couldn't really read it all. And then Abraxas lost his wifey.
Oh yeah,
I was more sad about that than anything. So she's there, and you have to remember, like, Sandra and Adian are there. Rolf is there, but I think that's pretty much what ended that whole battle almost.
Yeah, that was the end of that battle after they took out the witches and everything. Again, they kind of stopped fighting for the day. It's like everybody's like, "Hey, back to your corners."
Yeah, stop it. That was unnecessary.
That's one of the other things I guess we skipped over. When Petra shows up to help Manon, she's also brought the Blue Bloods with her.
Yes.
So they are fighting on Aelin.
So they're the other ones that switched sides.
Yeah.
The Iron Teeth were the only ones that stayed on Mura.
The only people that are still fighting for Erewhon are the Yellow Legs, which is baffling considering what happened to the Yellow
Legs. Yeah, considering that he turned them into their host bodies. Yeah, pretty much fucked them over.
Horrific.
Okay, so then this is when we finally get
okay, so yeah, after this
traumatic spot, you have to go have a drink and close the book, have a drink, throw the book across the room, walk off,
cry a little bit more, hold your loved ones and pets, cry a little bit more, take a deep breath, start reading again.
Yeah, because I feel like Manon lost almost like the most out of everybody.
Everything.
She lost that was
her family.
Her family, her grandmother, everything she knew.
Well, she has Abraxas.
Yeah, but I mean, she lost everything but Abraxas, really. I mean, even though, not to say he's not important, but like, I think out of all of our main characters, she lost probably the most. I mean, because Aelin Aelin was always alone. She went through the most. I think Aelin did, like, physically. But like, as far as like losing loved ones and stuff, it's pretty much her and Dorian. But her more. I mean, she lost all the 12. So, and then, yeah, that. Okay, so then we go back to our other group of...
Yeah, so
that's how they're kind of... So from there, they're kind of just... Their stories kind of stopped right there for now.
Well, I mean, they're still
fighting, but now we're going to go back to our other core group. Dorian...
Still in the Farron Gap.
Dorian finds them.
So Dorian shows up while they're all hanging out in the Farron Gap.
Because that's what they do instead of marching.
As slow as possible.
And he's like, hey, but do they realize he shows up as a raven, doesn't he? And like turns?
Yeah.
And they're
like at first they're like, ah, and then they're like, and then he shifts and they're like, okay.
What the hell? And everybody's, the hell? And then...
And he's like, look.
He's like, look what I did.
Look what I got.
And then Kale and him reunite. And I thought that was like the one time that I really liked Kale for a little bit. They reunited. And he's like, look, I've always wanted a sister. And like, if I was Dorian, he's like, bitch, you got married without me? And he's like, but Dorian's like, I've always wanted a sister. And then he's like, well, you're about to be an uncle. And Dorian's like, what? It's like, what? So that happens.
So excited. Yeah. So
they all meet, and then Dorian tells them the whole story about Mora. Thank God we didn't have to do a recap chapter of that. And he's like, look what I got. And so that's when they have to decide what to do with these keys.
Yeah, so they basically say, look, we can do this one of two ways. We can either continue to march to Orinth, fight, and then put the keys back, or we can put the keys back now, take Erwin out of the equation,
and still go fight.
And then go fight.
Both are.
Here's the thing.
Here's the plot holes.
And this annoys me to no end.
Tell it, sister.
So the whole thing
of this book
was that she was a fire bringer and she has the power to take out this army.
Yes.
And her power, is supposed to die in order to forge this lock. Fine. What strategic general or army general Rowan would say, he's probably the only person who probably disagreed with it, but it was for different reasons. But like everybody who's like maybe inexperienced,
because Sartak is a general, Adian's a general, yeah,
to put the keys back and take Erwin out of the equation, without knowing whether or not that would get rid of the army, without knowing whether or not.
But I do think they did that thinking we still have Dorian, because Dorian can still do some shady shit.
But the whole
point was for Aelin to do it.
Aelin is a firebringer. We know that she has.
So if you were there, you would have marched, take out the army, and then did the keys in the lock. So my thing is, I think
makes the most sense.
I think they didn't do that because you run the risk of losing, and then everyone getting the keys.
I feel like, considering how quickly this happened, and the fact that they were in another realm while this was happening,
yeah.
If it looked like the tide was turning one way or the other, they could have
just ran off and did it. Yeah.
But it's like, and here's the other thing. So she says, okay, we're gonna go take Erwin out of the equation. They don't know whether or not
they're gonna go do the lock and the key. So they go with the lock and key.
100,000 person army.
So they're gonna go do the lock and key thing. That's what they decide.
So they decided that Aelin was going to be taken out of the equation too, because they knew that her doing this was going to kill her.
Right, because it's not going to be Dorian.
So they said, we have 100,000 army that we're going up against. We have 10,000 people. We have 100,000 army.
Let's take out our best person.
We could probably use a firebringer, but let's go ahead and just
take her out.
Not use it.
Right. Stupid.
Make it make sense.
It doesn't. So then they go.
Okay, so they have the keys. They vote, and Aelin is very adamant that they do a vote. So they vote to put the keys back and take Erwin out of the equation. So
they go. She goes and does it.
Rowan is like, I don't like this. You're my mate. I refuse. Maybe you and Dorian can share this, and if you share it, then that way
only half of each of you dies.
Yes.
Essentially, is what he was saying.
That was his.
And Dorian's thing is still like, I can do it. Nobody cares about me anyway. Like he's still.
Well, I think he's in a better place mentally.
Yeah, but he's still like, I can do it.
But yeah, he wants to help. Yeah. He wants to help. He wants to be worthy of his friends. That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
So he decides.
He just wants to be loved.
He decides to help.
So then they go. Dorian and Aelin go.
And the whole poetic nonsense of like the whole poetic piece of this to be like, we're doing this in Elway where we first met. Ridiculous.
It's just.
I don't think it added anything. I don't think it added anything to their character development. Okay, fine.
Okay,
whatever.
So they go.
Very poetic. Fine. So they go. They go through the portal to use the keys to wield the lock, and basically it's draining both of their power. So regardless,
they're both screwed.
Yeah.
Even if they do get out, neither one of them's gonna have a power now.
So when Dorian does this, he has a sword on him and ends up calling his father. And that's when we find out like the whole nameless is my price. They took his father's name in order for him to be taken over by the Volg, and his father's like, as like, for everything that I put you through, let me do this for you. So basically saves Dorian, takes his place. Aelin's like, check it. Throws Dorian out of the portal, so he still has a majority of his power, or at least much more
than she's gonna end up having.
Yeah. And then they go and confront the gods to close this gate. So Dorian's father has basically disappeared at this point. He's done his
he did what he needed to do. Yeah,
beautiful, fine. And that's when we see Elena, Mala, Deanna, and the other gods, and Aelin decides to make a deal,
which he wasn't supposed to do.
Which wasn't supposed to do that. So she basically says, "Hey, for if you keep Elena's soul alive, we'll keep Erewhon and take care of him on this side, but just save Elena."
And they're like, "Nah, homie, that's not how it works."
They're very touched by this, or at least Elena and Mala, I guess, are. But Deanna's like,
"No, fam,
no." So she ends up destroying Elena right there in front of Aelin. Turns her into dust, so she doesn't get her soul in the afterworld, and basically goes back through her portal. At which point Mala is like, for even suggesting this. So at this point, Deanna doing that, basically she says, "I'm not taking your deal, and I'm going to leave you with everyone anyways."
Yeah, because that's what you get for being greedy.
Yes, this is what you get for asking for anything of us. So
even Mala, though you've been asking the world of her, but whatever. Okay.
So Mala, as a thank you for trying to save who was her daughter's life or her soul, gifts Aelin with a drop of fire power, which was completely depleted at this point. So she has one drop of healing water, and then she has one drop of her fire. So Aelin, being like a F you to these gods, decides to use one of the portals that she knows from way back in like Crown of Midnight, opens a demon portal, and then shuts the gate to like where the gods are, and then jumps back through.
Right. But she goes through several realms.
Right. So when
which is where your Akatar comes in, right?
So she ends up jumping. So this is whenever we find out that the tattoo that Rowan put on her back was also in word marks.
Right.
Which is a guide home.
Right.
So sweet. So whenever she gets like kind of blasted back through the portal on her way home, she ends up going through a couple different worlds, and a couple of the ones that she flies over, it's like there's one of water, there's one of just green, whatever. One of them is a city of starlight, which is Akatar, and then one of them is the it's described as a city that's on a curve, which is Crescent City.
And this is why I have to read Akatar now.
This is why you got to read all of them.
And I don't have those books yet, so whatever, whenever I get them.
So she goes back through the portal, and the people in the city of Starlight are the ones that slow her down, so she doesn't pass her world. It's like he hits her with some magic to slow her down.
Slow down, ho. Yeah.
Exactly, ho.
And then she ends up back.
She ends up back in her body.
In our world.
In our world. And that's whenever she has to go and tell
everybody she fucked up.
She made a bargain and kind of screwed everybody.
And that's why everybody's mad at her.
Yeah, so I had to go back and reread this part because I couldn't figure out why they were mad. Because it sounded like how it was written that they were mad that they didn't have their Firebringer, but that was always going to be the case if they decided.
They're mad because she made a bargain, because had she not, Erewhon wouldn't be there. So not only do they have the 100,000 forces, they also have Erewhon to deal with. Before, they wouldn't have had Erewhon to deal with if she would have done what she was told to do.
Here's my question. And
she's still alive though. Like, be happy for that.
She doesn't have any of her power.
So we just
she has a
but they should still be happy that she's alive. Like, that's still your person.
They weren't even going to march north like 3 weeks ago whenever they started.
Rowan should be happy.
Rowan is the only person who's
happy. And then Aedion should be happy when he starts to calm down.
If they can ever actually see each other ever again.
Yeah.
Okay, so she gets blasted back through the portal. She's back in her body. Everybody's upset.
They're like, really? You can't follow simple directions?
Yes. So I had to go back and read that because like Kale was just like,
really?
Well, she said she was going to do one thing and did something else. So,
yeah. Typical Aelin, yeah.
And then Dorian was like trying to like
smooth it over like
he does. And be like, typical. Yeah. Anyway, so from there, they have to go.
They're all still going to Orinth.
Still on their road to Orinth, and they've been marching for weeks. Every single time we go back to Aedion, it's like everything is like so dire. Anyway, so what happens? The little folk show up again, which it would have been really nice if they showed up 7 weeks ago whenever they started this journey.
Because they finished guiding them and helping them through it all.
So basically, I remember at one point, Rowan was like, we're still a week out from Orinth, and then they say like whenever they get there, they arrive in Orinth. It's been 6 days since. So it's like they saved him in a day. And like the little folk are like, you gotta hurry.
They're like, apúrate, let's go.
Because things are getting pretty serious.
Yeah. Because the little folk kind of know how to run all over the place. They're like little spies. I love them.
Your Dobby people?
Yeah, they're Dobby people. Okay, so then, but she does have the lock, or she did do the lock thing or whatever.
She's closed the gate.
Yeah.
The gate is closed.
So, but they still have Erewhon. Still got to get rid of them.
Yeah, Erewhon and Maeve. And she has...
And the $100,000 troops.
Yes.
So then it goes back to Manon, and Ansel lets her know that
so we're back in Orinth.
It's been a week since
everything terrible
the 13
happened.
have killed.
They're still fighting.
Yeah.
They're still under siege. Ansel and Manon come to the agreement that they're going to share the wastes. They're both incredibly depressed at this point, so they agree.
Yeah, because she's lost everything.
Well, Ansel too. She's lost all of her
she's lost everything, and Manon has too. So they're like, let's just do this together.
One of the other things, like Darrow is such a dick, and like so whenever they first start the attack, him and Evangeline, he kind of helps the kid like not panic as much, so she keeps her distracted.
Because his thing is like, I'm a dick, but I'll be nice to kids, kind of a thing. Because even, I mean, I get it. Some people are rude, but they can't be rude to a kid.
Fine.
Right. So anyway, that's his soft spot.
One of the things that like Adian like kind of criticizes him for in the first book is that like everybody else is doing the fighting and he's just sitting in his like war camp doing whatever, and he says something to the effect of like,
I'm old.
Basically, it's like, you don't know what it's like to not be able to fight. And then Murtaugh basically is like, decides to go fight with Ren and ends up dying. And then Darrow is just like, old fool. Yeah. Just mean. The man is dead. But don't be a dick.
He's an old fool. And then Lysandra and Adian kiss. They make out.
Oh, yeah. So after Murtaugh passes away, and I guess they like do like a little vigil for him.
They kiss.
They have a moment in the hallway. Okay, so things again are very dire, and we're
everything's so dire in this book from the beginning to the end.
Well, it's like
it's war.
So it's like the Western Gate's about to fall. So like, they're all trying to like reinforce the gate to keep them like out of
everybody's
the inner
panicking.
City walls.
Panic everywhere.
And then lo and behold, here comes Aelin on the back of the King of the North, which is the big deer, riding into battle to save the day. The big deer.
The stag. Oh yeah, sorry.
The deer.
You said King of the North, and all I could think was freaking. All I could think of was what's his name, Jon Snow. I was like, the King of the North. I was like, wait, what just happened?
You only have references to other things.
Okay, so then she comes. Helps. They all show up. Everybody's together now.
Yes.
Everybody's one. It took us 55 million pages, but we're all together. Oh, Gabriel finally is arrived. He has to go find Adian because that's his son.
Okay, so the Western Gate or whatever was about to fall. So Gabriel is able to make it up to the gate and starts using his golden light to kind of push the forces back so that they can seal the gate and keep everybody safe. And for some reason, instead of just doing that and then sealing the gate on the other side, he decides to go out and fight.
Which doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense.
No.
I think this is the point where the author is like, I gotta kill some people off, so let me do it in the stupidest way possible. Like, why?
Yeah, so he had his throat ripped out, and then like you just know that like the light kind of flickered, and then Adian has this moment where he's like, Dad.
Yeah. Again, you have to either die or almost die for Adian to get his shit together.
Apparently. Everybody's so emotionally stunted. So yeah.
So Gabriel's there, and I really wanted Gabriel and Adian to have like this moment.
It was like 30 seconds. They got
nothing. But they needed a better moment.
They did need a better moment. I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's why it's like.
So if this was an adult fiction, you think more people would have died?
Absolutely. I know you've never read like Game of Thrones or anything like that, but it's like nobody's safe in like your adult fantasy books. Nobody's safe. I mean, I guess Tolkien is even considered like YA for the most part. So it's like, your little.
But even because I think I just read she references Deathly Hallows. People died in there that we cared about, and that wasn't adult. Is
still all side characters. Ron, Hermione.
Well, yeah, your three mainstay, but like you lost Ron's brother.
Trio.
You lost the brother, one of the twins. I don't remember which one it was. Which one was it? George or Fred?
It was Fred.
See, you don't even know. Ha! So one of them dies.
It was the one that didn't lose his ear.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, one of them lost his ear, and then the one that didn't lose his ear lost his life.
Anyways, okay, keep going. We're almost done. We're almost there. We're almost at the end. Right? What, right? No? What else?
So, okay.
Gabriel dies.
Just back up a second. One of the things that Sarah J. Maas says that she really loves is a happy ending. So I think that's why you don't have as many people dying in this book.
Yes, I understand that.
She loves a happy ending.
It did wrap up with a nice cue bow. Everybody got their happy ending, but
so I'm sorry that there wasn't more carnage, but
like if you wanted to be realistic, there should have been more carnage. But for YA, that's how YA books end.
The 13.
You didn't really know them though. So it was okay.
You cannot say that wasn't traumatic.
No, that was traumatic.
Especially since you're reading it from Manon's point of view.
But had Dorian died or Elide or Adian or Rowan, that would have been more traumatic. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
It's like, not as traumatic.
Again, you're reading it from Manon's point of view. So you're seeing this through her eyes as these being her people.
Right. But we're traumatized for Manon. We're not traumatized because the 13 died. The 13 died. Okay, yes. It was horrible how they died. But the fact, if they would have all just like walked into the abyss and never returned, we wouldn't be that like, okay.
Miss, at the end of fucking Empire of Storms, we're the 13. We're the 13. Yeah. We're the 13.
But I wasn't upset about it.
Don't care about the 13
But
now.
They're dead. Yes, they're dead. We get that. But it was traumatic the way they died, not the fact that they're dead. The way they died was traumatic. The fact that they're dead, it doesn't.
You don't care.
I don't.
You don't care about them.
I don't. I cared because I didn't know them. I knew 4. If I had really gotten to know the backstory, like I'm sad for Astrid, pretty much. Astridine. That's it. The rest, I was like, we didn't know them. She had built like if there was a book on the 13 and how they became 13 that we read before we read this one, I would be bawling my eyes out. I'd still be mad.
But you could,
because I'm still more traumatic for Sam.
Same case I'm more for any major YA book, though. Like, look at your favorite book in the world, Twilight.
Nobody dies in Twilight.
Nobody dies. And you're not like sitting here crying because nobody died.
No, nobody died.
There was a war. There was a battle.
Not in the book.
Somebody should have died.
In the book, there was no war.
No, because it was all a dream or whatever.
No, the dream wasn't in the books. The dream was only in the movie.
Okay, what happened in the books?
Nothing.
Exactly. You weren't upset that like nobody died.
No.
In Twilight.
No, nobody was supposed to.
So like this whole cataclysmic event.
It was a love story. It wasn't a war movie.
There's like 17 love stories.
This was about war.
Where?
She had to kill the bad guy.
From Jump, who was it about?
Killing Erewhon.
From Jump, who was it about?
Aelin.
No. It was about her and Sam. Her and Sam running away together and they living happily ever
after.
And
I am more upset about Sam dying.
So a major character died already. Nahima died.
But that was sad.
All right.
But not in the end.
You're talking about like this that had no major character deaths. It did.
But I think what it is all the couples stayed together. Somebody should have died.
Oh, okay.
All the couples got happy endings. I think that's what.
Except for Abraxos.
He'll find somebody else. Oh, I think that's what annoys me is every couple got a happy ending, and like
so did all the couples in Twilight.
Did they? They did. Even awkward Taylor Lautner and the baby.
You're just mad because like shows like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones have spoiled you into thinking that major characters should die when every single book up to this point would probably prove otherwise.
I'm trying to think what's the last book where like a major character died and I was like, I can't think of one. I read too much smut. Can't help it. I think because Sam died and Nehemia died, I was expecting that traumatic. I guess the 13, that's what we got. That was the trauma.
Again, and it's told from Manon's point of view. Like these are
they can't tell if a bastard she's dying. She's gonna say, and I blew up.
No, but like they could have done it from Lysandra's if you just wanted a completely impersonal touch.
Sandra didn't know what was going on. She didn't
No,
know.
but she would have witnessed the whole thing.
Well,
so if like you wanted something that wasn't personal, they could have told it from Lysandra's point of view.
No,
but they didn't. They told it from Manon's.
We needed Manon's point of view
because you can see how devastating that is.
It was devastating for Manon, not for me.
Lie. Lie.
I cried while reading it. That was it. I'm an emotional gangster. I only cried during the book. I don't know.
Okay, so Gabriel died.
Gabriel died. That's all. That's what we were getting at. Died stupidly.
It seemed unnecessary. He could have just sealed the gate and been on the other side of it. No, like, here's my power. I am a super old, super fancy.
Yeah, he's like 5 million years old.
I think he's like 500. No, maybe no.
He's the oldest of them all, isn't he?
Or is it Lorcan was? Maybe him and Lorcan are like the same age.
Okay, so the princesses arrive with Maeve, and they haven't shown up yet. Jesus Christ!
So Gabriel dies,
and then Maeve and Erewhon and the princesses show up. All 6 of them.
So before this, though, I think Ansel and Aelin like worked to take down some of the catapults or something.
Yeah.
Together, and like they use like their super secret assassin buddy power to like take down the thing.
Yeah, they do that.
And then that like Rowan was like looking around like, where's Aelin?
He's then, like, always trying to figure out where she's at.
Something like collapses and they're like, oh, there she is.
Yeah. And he's just like, yeah.
Okay, so
after that, never keep track of her.
After that fun little bit of what have you, Maeve and Erewhon show up. So Aelin goes and greets them.
Yeah.
With her sword.
Mm-hmm. But so what I don't remember is how Maeve and Erewhon, they're kind of separated, right? Because Aelin's fighting.
They walk up together, but Erewhon decides to go
do his thing.
Go confront Irene.
Yeah. Of all people.
Well, no, so like the whole time that they're fighting, they're also having a whole ass conversation.
Yeah.
Go figure. So basically, while she's like putting them against each other, Erewhon starts to like get all these like seeds of doubt against Maeve, and then decides as a result of that to go, because she says something like the healers, they're all here, blah blah blah. They can vanquish all of this darkness, blah blah blah. So Erewhon's like, well, I'm gonna go get her,
right?
And then decides to leave Maeve and Aelin,
right? So then Aelin is fighting Maeve, and then Erewhon goes and finds Irene. Aelin's fighting Maeve, and then I call them the trio, but Rowan, Lorcan, and Fenris show up to like help her.
Yes, fight Maeve.
Fight Maeve, because Gabriel's dead, so he can't show up. So this is my confusion. Well, not my confusion, but so Aelin never gets her power back, like ever?
No.
Like she's no longer for the rest of her life. She's just a normal fae like Rowan.
She has a drop of this and a drop of that. She's not that strong. But actually, I guess technically Rowan might be more
strong because he can shift, right? Because he could turn into
her human form was dead after they did the.
Yeah, so she can't do it. She's just a fae.
I think Maeve says like she's just basic.
She's a basic fae now.
Yeah, and she doesn't have a lot of power.
I mean, she still has her assassin skills, but she's not.
She's talented in that way, but so most of her power has been sucked away.
Okay, so then
Rowan is probably technically more powerful than her power wise, and then Dorian too.
Dorian ends up keeping all his power, which we'll go into that later.
Not all of his power, most of his power. He had some of his power.
He has like half, but he knows how to take power from people because he learned to shift. So he can still.
Well, he did that before, though.
That's what I'm saying.
He can still shift.
Yeah, I'm saying he can still, like, if he wants to, he'll take power from people.
Take that whenever they took him, but from Heir of Fire, we know that like Rowan and Aelin can share.
They're Karam, whatever.
Okay, so what do you want to start with? Erewhon's disappointing death or Maeve's disappointing death?
Let's do Maeve's disappointing death first. Let's wrap up Maeve. So let's
start with Erewhon because it was so quick.
It was like 2 pages.
Okay, 2 fucking pages. Backing it up a little. So Aelin is fighting Erewhon and Maeve. Sowing seeds of doubt. Erewhon decides to go off and find
the healers, and particularly Irene, which is Irene, because she is now going to be the healer on high.
So he shows up to the top of this tower or whatever, and there's Irene staring at him.
Like, what's up? All of a sudden, she's like Where's Kale during this? That's what I want to know.
He's on one of the embankments, like so he's like fighting. They run into Kale as they're heading up or whatever, and Kale's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, well, "We have a plan." And Kale's like, "What?" And he, like, she doesn't ask for permission, but he's just basically like concerned for her. But yeah, he
has to be concerned for her because if she dies, he dies. Like, you can't go nowhere without me.
Vice versa, though. Like, he's literally fighting people with swords and stuff. So it's like, if he dies, she dies.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's like, he's basically like, you do you, go do what you got to do. So that's
which one of the things I do like about him.
Whatever.
He kind of grew on me a little bit. Okay, go ahead.
So not anyway, fully. So Erewhon gets up to the top of this tower, and like grabs Irene,
and he's like, rah! And shakes her like a dog.
And then Irene is like, "I'm not Irene," and then shifts into Dorian.
Right.
And then uses his power to basically, I guess they use word marks on the ground to like lock him into place so that Irene could use her magic to
kick the evil out,
vanquish.
Which doesn't because it was because. Okay, so Irene is able to get rid of him in like 2 chapters, like whoosh, and he's gone. No, not 2 chapters, like 2 pages.
It was like a paragraph.
Yeah, but she couldn't get rid of Kale, this little demon thing.
Yeah.
She had to blood oath herself to him.
But that was because he had a mortal wound.
It doesn't matter. She gave a mortal wound to somebody, like to get rid of him. I don't know. I just don't. I feel like that shouldn't have been that easy. Like it should have been.
I guess what frustrates me about it is like for 7 books,
he's Erewhon, a Billy badass,
and the vlog have been this like huge
like thing,
and then
it's like,
and then Aelin isn't even the one that takes care of him.
Yeah,
like all the lead
like
up,
Game of Thrones,
all the Firebringers.
You did all that, and it wasn't even someone important that takes out the big guy. It's like this random side character.
Absolutely,
I hated that. It was horrible. It was anticlimactic, is what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have Maeve, another unsatisfying death.
So, okay, so what happens is, so after Erewhon is taken by the Ilkin up to the top of the tower to take care of Irene, and Dorian's there in LD, they're all helping. Anyways, Maeve is still down on the ground with Aelin, and she's joined by her 3 blood oath.
Yeah, so that's
Rowan, Fenris, and Lorcan. So they're all actively battling Maeve, which is, I guess, again, another poetic part because Maeve had them enslaved for so long.
And now they're coming back. Yeah.
So now they're fighting
against her with a queen that respects them and this and that.
So at this point, Aelin's power is basically gone.
Gone.
Maeve knows this, so she's kind of relying on the help of her court to kind of help her get rid of this chick. Except that Maeve does what Maeve does and actually enters their mind and starts like
messing with them, right? Yeah. She starts messing with them, which is just so rude.
Yeah, so it's like
Rowan sees her Aelin dead, right?
That's right.
Fenris sees his brother who tells him everything that happened. Oh, everything's Fenris' fault. That's why.
Poor Fenris.
Fenris can't catch break.
Fair enough.
And then, well, of course, she uses a lead against Lorcan.
Of course.
A lead is... She uses the last of her power to get her out of their minds.
Yeah.
That's how she uses that little droplet. Then she makes portals. I don't remember.
Oh, that's right. So she made portals to actually bring over...
all the people that Maeve
yeah. And then
they help everybody.
Yeah. So Aelin and Rowan actually end up linking up, and I guess from what happened back in Era of Fire, they used their Karanom to like filter the power that that filters his power through her, so that because she's out. Yeah. To basically blast Maeve to break, I guess, whatever it was
had, and then Fenris stabs her.
And then they distract, and then Fenris
stabs her, and then they cut her head off. Don't they chop her head off?
Yes.
Yeah, so then they chop her head off.
Much needed.
Yeah, just in one of those, like, double tap, make sure she's gone. I mean, that death was a little more satisfying than Erewhon's, but still, I was just like, I don't know. I wanted her to, like, turn into dust. I don't know how to make sense. Like, just burn her to ash. I didn't want just, like, a head rolling on the floor.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then...
So she brought, I guess she brings the people over. They're all fighting, which is like the reinforcements that we need. But
then once Maeve and Erewhon are dead, all of the other soldiers just like flop over, right?
Yeah, so that was the thing. So basically, I guess we read it kind of in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like right as Maeve died, Erwin
They kind of
also
died at the same time.
died,
Yeah.
and then the chants from the groups were all chanting Irene, 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 because after Erwin had died, all the Ilkin and all the vlog and everything just basically
like
died.
flop over.
So if the case is that if they had taken Erwin out with the keys instead of making the bargain,
they would have died.
That's my question.
No,
is that the case?
No, because he had to. I feel like he had to die. If they had just vanished him, he wouldn't be dead.
No, but that's the thing. They were gonna. So Deanna or whatever was going to take him back and then rip him apart for having opened up the gate in the first place. That's what they said. So he would have died. Mm-hmm. So my question is, did they do all, like are they rightfully mad at her for making that choice, because they could have saved a lot of people?
Yes. They are rightfully mad at her. Like, it's just
and then also like the portals opening at the end, didn't that give like Endgame vibes?
Yeah,
on your left.
Yeah, I was waiting for Black Panther to show up. Yeah, and just in Spider-Man, yeah, because all that's really what I thought. It really made me think of what's her name with the white horse, the Valkyrie. Like, that's like the image I got in my mind when they flew in through the portals.
Oh yeah,
I got that image. Like, here we are. Yeah.
No, so that's
not the battle, but then you have to tie up all the loose ends. So let's go through the loose ends. Irene and Kale go back to NL, right? That's where he's gonna go and live his life out, because he's
in the hands of the king. So he actually left with Dorian at the
end. So Dorian goes back to Autumn.
But before they all go their separate ways, the big like moment was Aelin entering Ornth, the place of her birth, for the first time.
Yes.
In 10 years.
Yes.
Aelin runs into Darrow.
Oh yeah,
and he has like this whole change of heart,
of course,
because of Evangeline, and he basically says
Evangeline's his heir now, because I guess he never had children or a wife.
Yes.
So he makes Evangeline his heir, which good for them.
Yeah.
Good for Evangeline. Yeah.
Well, like that was like, I guess, a callback to like before they parted ways, like Evangeline win me back my kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
random.
Okay. I never liked Dara though. Like, no. I don't,
like his only redeeming quality was he gave Evangeline
everything. Like, I'm gonna be nice to this kid. I'm gonna be a jackass to everybody
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then what else happened before her coronation?
Aileen offered Gabriel the blood oath in death.
In death, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
to honor him, because he was a dishonored male having the blood oath broken. So
yeah. She gave it to him so he could be die with the honor. And then Rowan's cousin is gonna take over Dornell, right? So whoever's related to Rowan is gonna take over, because she doesn't ever want to go back to.
Oh yeah, so there's a fairy queen in the west, fairy queen in the east. So yeah.
So his cousin will be queen of that side.
Yeah.
And then and then what else happens? The little folk. She's the queen of the little folk, right?
Yeah.
She's the little folk. Those are her people.
But Lorcan proposed
to Elide. So Lorcan proposed to Elide.
He's like, asked me to stay. She's like, stay, and then asked me to.
And then he becomes Lord Lorcan Lockin, because she has to take his name. Yeah. He has to take her name.
No, but he's like, asked me to marry you.
Yeah.
And then she goes, will you marry me, Lorcan? He says, I'll think about it.
Like, jerk. So they end up being happily ever after. And then he actually
he decides
her thing is the immortality thing, which is what everybody was thinking.
Yeah.
And he decides to, I don't know how he gives it up.
Yeah, he gives up his immortality
to live his days out with her.
With Elide. He basically binds, like, same kind of thing with, I guess, Irene and Cole. He like binds his life to her.
He binds himself to her. Oh, and Irene's gonna start her own Tory in the north. Yes, that's what she wants to do.
That's what she wants to do. So she asks Hephaestus, like, can we do this?
She's like, go ahead. I don't care. Do your thing.
Enjoy.
The Krakens and Manon go to the Waste.
Well, the Krakens, like, I guess, leave first, because everybody's there for about 2 weeks before the coronation.
Yeah, so they go to the Waste. Aelin has her coronation, and has Aiden finally gets his damn blood oath that he's been wanting.
Yeah.
And the little folk come and give her.
Oh, they walk down the thing and give her their own like
crown, because she's gonna.
And she puts it in with her other crown.
Yeah, it's like inside the crown within the crown, which I thought was cute. Oh, the Rukin find Wyvern eggs.
Yes.
That happened.
And then Dorian says he's gonna use him like for his own fleet.
Right.
And he's like,
he wants Manon to train him, and that's how he gets Manon to come back to Otterland off and on.
She's like, I'll think about it.
Yeah, but she's so mean to him.
But no, she says something like, she's like, well, I'll think about it, because I can get like, I can get like Glennis and Rhiannon to like kind of like lead everything in the waste, and I can like it's only like a date.
But I also feel like she like thinking past the book, like he's gonna have to find somebody to make an heir because Manon cannot give him an heir. Can she? She can.
She got babies.
So
she got lots
maybe
of babies.
They'll have a witchling
princeling. They'll have a lot of time to have a lot of babies.
Well, not a lot of time because he's not immortal.
Men can have babies at will until their 70s.
So Manon's gonna be helping him train the Waverns, whatever.
Well, the Rooks, because they had like created some nests, so they were like, we're gonna keep these here, and some of the people are gonna stick behind, and blah, blah, blah.
Rowan and Aelin obviously are gonna stay in Terrasen, or yeah.
Well, yeah,
she's gonna stay there. I'm trying to figure out where everybody ends up. Adian and Lysandra stay where? Lysandra has that area that
yeah. So they're gonna get married, and then I guess like
live happily ever after. Go back and travel back and forth. Is he now in charge of the Bane again? That's what I couldn't remember.
Yeah, he's reinstated
as Bane
by Darla,
and Darla gives him the sword back.
Yeah. Right. Final goodbyes like between Dorian, Kale, and Aelin, and she's all emotional about it.
And she gets over it. Yeah.
She gets over it.
She tells him she loves him, and she's.
Well, Irina's the one who was like, you guys, like saying to Dorian and Manon, like, you guys should just get married.
But Manon's not
plant that seed.
Plant it. Okay, that was it. That was the end of the book, pretty much, right?
No.
What else happened?
This is very pivotal. So the morning, like after the coronation, like 2 weeks on, everybody's back in their home, whatever. She's like, wakes up one morning, dawn, whatever. She goes outside, and the King's Flame is blooming in Terrasen, which is a sign of a peaceful leader, and it hasn't bloomed there for 100 years. So that's a big deal, and it's like a close. It's okay. And that's the book.
That's the end of the book. Like, everybody happily ever afters. Now, who's your favorite couple?
My favorite couple is Elite and Lorcan.
Me too. Elite and Lorcan. Second favorite, Manon and Dorian.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then
Nezrin and Sartak. Fight me.
No, yeah. I was trying to think of all the couples. Yeah, them two, and then Rowan and Aelin. Just because I don't like Sandra and Adian. I like Lysandra more than I like Adian. She shouldn't have taken his ass back. That's all.
Yeah.
And then at the and then like every other couple in the whole entire Torre, and then kill Irene. I like Irene. I can't say, but Alita and Lorcan I think is my favorite. They're just so my favorite. Yeah. Random.
Which is also why everybody's extremely disappointed that we don't know what happened.
Did you say there was a smut book based on it though, or there's some fan fiction somewhere?
No, so I think I was told that or read somewhere that The Witch Collector, which is another book that's kind of gives the same vibe.
Oh, I don't want the same vibe. I want to know what's happening with them. Okay, so that was it. That was it.
That's Kingdom of Ash.
But now I have to read Akotar. Right? That's next?
Yes. I have a surprise for you.
What?
You have to close your eyes. Open them.
Yay! Oh my god. Which one's the first one?
This one.
Why is this one so small?
This is a novella.
Oh. How do her books gradually get fatter? Man. It's only 4? Plus this little one?
She's still writing them. This is not a complete series.
What do you mean?
A complete series.
What do you mean? She's already started the next books. This is the other 2, ain't it? And these are done. What's the book that everybody's fighting over that's coming out? They're like, oh, there's going to be different versions.
Third in this one series.
When does this one come out? The next one?
Probably next year.
Oh, I have time.
Probably like February of next year.
And when does this next one of this one come out?
January. No, sorry. So this one comes out during 2025.
So I have time. I have time.
Okay. The only caveat, and this is very important, is that if we read this and we decide to do it for a Bestie book chat, you can read this book, but you cannot start this book until you and I have a conversation.
Why?
It's canon.
What do you mean it's canon? It's law?
It's an event that has to happen because there's so much important stuff that happens here, but you can't have that experience back to back.
So read this one and then read some. Talk to you. Read some like fluffy books and then
You cannot start this book until you and I have had a conversation. It's important.
Okay.
I could just give you the one book.
I'm just confused. Yay, though. I get to read all those. Oh my god. Okay. So books we're reading next, for sure.
Okay, so goals for October
are witchy, scary books. So I'm gonna read Go Hex Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna read the second book of that.
What the Hex.
What the Hex. And I will read What the Hex, but I gotta read Go Hex Yourself first.
Yeah, and then you just gifted me the
Demon. I don't remember.
Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon.
We're both gonna read that book.
So we'll read those.
Sword Catcher comes out, and I've read that is an adult book. So
it is an adult?
It's not it's an adult fantasy. It's not a YA book.
Oh, thank God.
It's her first adult book.
Good.
Is what I remember. So those are coming out.
Okay.
And then we wait for November for Iron Flame. I'm low key debating taking off the day it comes out. Like
Me too.
I'm debating.
Me too. I like at midnight just
because I got mine's being delivered, so I have to wait for it to be delivered. Because I got it from Amazon. Like, does it come that day? Where are you getting yours from?
Mine's coming from Barnes & Noble, but I'm buying the ebook.
Oh, duh.
I'm going to get the ebook and, like, read it at midnight.
Okay, so let's do that. I don't know why I'm like, I have to wait for the book. Okay, duh. What day of the week is that?
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
So it's always a Tuesday. New releases are on Tuesday, man.
So I need to take Tuesday off.
But it'll like, that's last time I got an ebook, like, it hit my Kindle at 11.
And you were up.
Damn right it was up. The last one that I can remember doing that I had pre-ordered was actually the fourth book.
Okay, so we're taking
A Court of Silver Flames.
So I need to take November 7th off.
The only other reason why I really want to do it that way is because
I don't want to avoid spoilers.
Yes. Oh, like do you have any final thoughts on Kingdom of Ash?
It was the ending I wish was
a little anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long-winded book.
So what really annoyed me, she fought in one battle. Aiden was like tracking all over Terracin, getting his ass handed to him. And she shows up for one battle.
Yeah. Well,
like, I understand.
2. She did the steam. And then the other one. So 2. But there was like 75.
Different groups.
Yeah. But that's what queens do. They hardly ever get in the battle anyway. They usually send their generals out. So
like, poor
Aiden. I don't care who was mean to Lysandra. That's what he gets.
Poor Lysandra. She was fighting the whole time too.
I know. Poor thing.
I just like I think
that was the only thing. And she looks evil in this picture.
Oh, I love that. I love this cover. This is my favorite. Oh, yeah. And then the back is her.
That's nice.
And her coronation gown with her.
Yeah, that's cute.
And her crown. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. It's good. So overall, you rate the series 4.5.
4.5. But here's my question: since you've already read, you know that so these books are supposed to all cross over.
Potentially, we're not sure.
Like we could see these characters again. That's my biggest thing. When I read a big series and it's over, I just miss my characters enough.
We don't know. But that was one of the things that like I was like highlighting. If you ever look at my notes like on Goodreads or whatever, and I tag the ones that are potentially spoilers, but like I specifically highlight anytime they talk about like world walkers because that's
something they do.
It feels like something that's kind of like a hint.
Because I will say she's good at connecting her stories because if I'm not mistaken, Assassin's Blade came out after some of these books were already written, right?
Yeah.
So she was good at foreshadowing to be able to connect.
Yeah.
Because Assassin's Blade really does connect with all of her stories. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't shock me if she does later on, like connect all of these books. Especially since she's opened up in the portals and it makes it seem like she can. The fact that she can means that she probably will eventually.
Just once you get to the end of Akatar, I'd be just interested to see. So thank you for watching. This has been Bestie Book Chat.
We finished Throne of Glass series. Whoop, 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 whoop. And we finished this big bitch of a book in 2 days.
Thank you for watching Bestie Book Chat. Please remember to like or subscribe. And we'll see you next time.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.